Hello there everyone, it's me again, Timmy64 here. I'm back with another SCP audiobook video, mostly just documentaries. But either way, let's do this. Today we'll be looking at SCP-198. Item number SCP-198, Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-198 is to be stored inside of a standard type containment room where basically its door is to be guarded by two guards and no person at least under level 3 clearance are allowed to go inside. SCP-198 itself is to be kept inside of a small little case, on top of that with a scale for basically, I don't know why, but also the clearance card, basically the card to its door, is also put in an unknown area. But like I said, only people under level 3 clearance are actually allowed to basically go inside. Following also the in light of Incident 198-A and also Incident 198-B, object class has been evaluated to Euclid and containment protocols 198 has been established. SCP-198's case has now been kept on a digital scale attached to an alarm system with redundant backups for power in the secure room. And on top of that, the anomaly is basically given 24-hour surveillance. And if it is ever to be handled, it must be handled via a robotic arm or to be handled by D-Class during testing. Now it's for description. Description: SCP-198 has been known for taking many forms since ever coming to the Foundation. Since this is a beverage which has been known for taking many forms, it has been known to take forms of standard cups, champagne glasses, soft drink cans, bottles of root beer, and also a cup saying 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor, and also a plastic bottle with inside. However, the most common form SCP-198 is currently now taking is of a standard-looking coffee mug with blue stripes around it. However, now the anomalous effects of this anomalous, thing. Also, it was also, however, SCP-198 itself has also been known to have the ability to teleport. To date, the Foundation has found no successful way on actually separating SCP-198 from its host, such as that either be through chainsaw, swords, knives, or any other type of possible way you could possibly think of. Even of cutting off the hand, SCP-198 will just seem to heal itself around and will eventually go into the person's hand, the holder. The events of how SCP-198 does this is if a person, either he or she, holds SCP-198 about after 2 to 5 seconds, they will immediately feel a sort of fiery burnt flesh, which this has been reported by people who actually basically held SCP-198. However, it is still unknown since they basically describe it as being a type of burning, but there is no type of fiery. After that, the cup itself, while SCP-198 taking a form, will eventually start to fill up with some sort of a bodily fluid. Basically, if you were maybe picked up this anomaly in a lemonade form, the lemonade would turn into something of a bodily fluid, such as blood, pus, urine, feces, bile, also. So yeah, this is basically one of those SCPs that basically takes bodily fluids. Also, when SCP-198 is done actually done filling itself, the holder will start to feel a sort of dehydration on them. This means that basically they'll start getting dehydrated and starvation. However, further info shows that even eating nutrients like food and drink or infused nutrients will not basically help on SCP-198's effects, and it just generally just slows down the process. The only way to actually survive while holding SCP-198 is drinking the anomalous bodily fluids, which in the most cases is disgusting. So yeah, that's only one of the only ways to actually survive. However, the only way to actually separate SCP-198 from its host is through death. Once the victim or holder has actually died, SCP-198 will eventually demanifest and will actually teleport to somewhere else random, waiting for the next victim. However, SCP-198 itself has been known for actually going let me put it this way, it's actually a much more safer option because SCP-198 itself has just been known for actually just going by nearby surfaces. However, there has been a few encounters of it going to actually nearby places, actually far places, where people are not known of its actually anomalous properties. The origin on SCP-198 first began in a construction site back in Germany after there were multiple reports of basically construction workers going missing. This caught the attention of the SCP Foundation, and a field agent was sent to go basically investigate. When the field agent arrived, he basically managed to find about a few dead corpses. Some were new and some were old. Eventually, he started to immediately call for backup. When the backup came, they found the agent basically holding SCP-198, and also SCP-198 itself was taking the form of a water bottle, which, by my this way, it was also filled with human sweat. Also, the agent was found in his own puddle of vomit. By his own request, he told somebody else to shoot him. Eventually, SCP-198 was managed to be taken out of his hand, somehow, I don't know, and was eventually now taken to the site for further research. Basically, testing logs I've actually seen testing logs. Basically, the testing logs show that basically after the Foundation managed to get their hands on this, Foundation acted very paranoid around this anomalous object. The first one was on log 198-A, which a D class was sent inside, and he was told to first touch the cup with a single finger and not to pick up or hold the anomaly. The D class just simply touched with a single finger. Nothing actually happened, meaning it showed that even if you just touched it with SCP-198 with a single finger, there would be no actual events. The D class was eventually sent inside again, and eventually he was told to hold SCP-198. Eventually he held it and he screamed in pain. Eventually SCP-198 itself was taking the form of a standard teacup with water inside. Eventually SCP-198 eventually filled with human urine. Eventually the D class started to get dehydrated and also exhausted and also due to starvation. Eventually, after a few minutes, he eventually decided to drink the urine inside his CP-198 while cursing. Eventually, he died. He only basically died after 29 hours, and yeah. And then after that, SCP-198 went to a nearby surface and took basically the like form of a lemonade glass with ice cubes inside. So yeah. And also, I've also seen the incidents on Internet 198-A and also 198-B. Let me first explain Internet 198-A. Internet 198 is actually SC I'm gonna put it this way. So basically, Internet 198-A happened at least after about 3 months after the last test of SCP-198 took place. However, basically the Foundation, I don't know what they were doing. So basically, one of the researchers, specifically researcher John, basically reached over for what he thought was basically his thermos containing iced tea inside. However, he eventually painfully realized that he was holding SCP-198. He only lived only for 31 hours until his body eventually refused to drink more of the anomalous bodily fluid inside of SCP-198, and his body gave up on him. Internet 198-B happens basically in the break room. Somehow SCP-198 managed to get into the break room. One of the guards, probably from Mobile Task Force, only I don't know, well, eventually found SCP-198. SCP-198 was taking the form of a sort of basically cup containing a difficult type of cream inside. Eventually, when the guard realized he was actually holding it, he eventually requested to be shot actually instead of drinking the anomalous liquid. Personally, I don't blame him. At least it's better to die than actually drink some disgusting liquid. So, yeah, that is some of the incidents. For testing purposes on SCP-198, it is to be done outside of its containment. On top of that, is to be done inside of the experimental room. And of course, like I said, it must be handled by a robotic arm. In basically SCP-198 itself is to be placed on a table where it will basically a D class will have to now go inside and will have to do testing. Also, the Foundation actually wanted to do testing on, depending on what form SCP-198 was taking, the bodily fluid was inside. This was also another test that was done. A female D class was sent inside and was specifically told to also wear thick gloves. Also, I'm sure they also wanted to test what would the anomalous things on B, what would happen if you had to wear gloves while holding SCP-198. She made a terrible mistake on actually holding it with two hands. She eventually screamed in pain, and the lemonade turned into human feces. Eventually, the D class basically vomited for a solid 10 minutes. Eventually, she became uncooperative with Foundation staff. Eventually, two guards were sent inside and shot her dead. none of the DNA links also have any type of basically links to basically the person who actually holds SCP-198. So even maybe if there is a sentient being out there who's probably even basically maybe probably linked up to this cup, the Foundation has found no success in probably tracking him or her. But I don't know, probably some sentient being out there. So yeah, that's just pretty much a lot about SCP-198. From basically a foundation that literally holds end-world threats like an old man, SCP-106, or that hard-to-kill reptile, the lizard SCP-682, or even that possessive mask SCP-035, or a literal statue that cracks your neck and a shy guy that never wants his face to be seen, 173, and also 096. Very little is to know about just this weird-looking cup, which also why it deserves the Euclid class. Even though you're probably thinking, why not classify it as safe? It doesn't move around. Since it's safe class, it should just be probably put somewhere else or just put in for easy containment. Well, just like I said, of course, this has ability to teleport and also the further incident on it, and also basically an end worlding type of, well, not end worlding, but actually killing you in this case. It definitely deserves the Euclid class. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on me just explaining about SCP-198. Please consider on like and subscribing, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye.